Hello again, and today I am going to be editing some images from a fitness shoot that I have recently done with the lovely Phil, my model here. And I'm going to go over my Lightroom edit to create a gritty, black and white, textured kind of image using just Lightroom. So let's get started. Now you can see in my image here, I already planned this image was going to be a square when I was shooting, and I already knew that the image was going to cut into the head. So I was quite happy for my light to be coming in just a little bit here anyway. You can see I did a few different compositions if I wanted to do without. I did a few different versions throughout here anyway. However, on this particular first shot, I knew exactly what I wanted and then developed from there. So first thing I'm going to do is crop. I always like to crop the image where I want. Now I had a square in mind. I wanted it to be square, and I know that putting it to the composition that I wanted, which would be around that sort of mark, would be quite simple. I quite like that. That's got the drama. I can remove this, so that's not a problem. And I like that. However, I'm going to play a little bit. Let's unlock my composition there, because now that I'm playing, I quite like the idea of actually having a lot of this negative space off to the side, just to give us an even more dramatic feel. Composition's one of those things that for me, I think you use it to tell a story. There's right and wrong, but composition can be used to really enhance an image. And actually, the way he's looking down, the way he's looking quite determined in this picture, I quite like the idea that there's this lots of negative space, especially with a dark background, because it will give a idea that there's this emptiness, this space behind, the darkness is looming. You can add a lot of drama. You can make it whatever you want to go with it. So I quite like that too. Now, you know what? Because I've already done a square image, I think I'm going to do this one like this. I wanted it to be square, but you know what? We can change it later if we choose. So first thing to do then, I know I want it black and white, so let's just use that and whack it into black and white. My light was coming from a very high angle, and I had two separation lights, which you can just see sort of kissing the back of the hoodie here, just a little bit of lift. But I didn't want them to be overpowering in this shot. I wanted it to be all about this top light, and I wanted it to feel almost like a pressure coming down. I wanted it to feel like a dramatic kind of butterfly lighting. So the light's done a lot for me. We've already got a lot of contour in the cheek. We've got a lot of contour underneath. So now I think this is where I'll play with my highlights and my shadows. Now, if anyone's looking, you can see that my shadows are already up. I'll put them back to where they were. I have it set on my Lightroom that on import, it takes my shadows up just to lift the shadows a little bit, and then I can tweak it later if I want to. So I'm going to lift those shadows. I want to see all the detail and the texture in all of this. I don't want it to be blocked out and undefined. And then we just need to play with our highlights. Now, playing with our highlights here, as you can see, we can get quite gritty and dramatic, and we can get quite bright, but we are looking for a correctly exposed image. I don't want my image to be underexposed and too dark. So I might have a play with my black and white mix down here. There's not a lot of colors in this image. Even if I take it back to normal, there's not a lot of colors there. You've mainly got our oranges and our yellows. So if I just play with my oranges, I can play around my reds. I can bring the drama and just enhance that a little bit. And let's add the highlights just to there. I quite like the popper color. I think that looks good. Now, in images like this, gritty and texture is not bad. It is a good thing. It's going to enhance it. So playing around with our texture, our clarity, and our dehaze is fine. Usually speaking, in any of my other pictures, I would say do not go near those at all. They are destructive and they look weird and they don't do it. I mean, things like dehazing like that, I mean, why? Let's just not do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play with my clarity. Ooh, click that back. And take my clarity up just a little bit. Now you can see it also enhances contrast, but it does sort of push the sharpness. Now I can play with texture too, but I find texture's the one a lot of people go to and it just looks fake. So I like playing with clarity a bit more. Personal preference, you know, you can find your own, But actually, I quite like that. That's given me a really nice dramatic feel to this image. And I like the mood that texture has added. Now I want to do a few things. I want to tone down these bits here in the hood just a little bit, just so our face is the brightest part. Firstly, we'll do that with a mask. And what I'm going to do is I will grab a mask and I'm going to get a brush. I like doing things with the brush. For me, it just seems, I don't know, a more artistic way to do it. And then I'm just going to pull those highlights down. I might pull my exposure down a tiny bit as well. Now that I've got that right, I can go on to the other side and do that there. Much happier with that. Perfect. Now we draw much more to the face. Now I want to draw even more to the face. I want to tone down the chest area a little bit. So I'm going to get a radial gradient, draw from my center point, pull it out. Think about there. Working with the inner circle. The inner circle is the one we're focusing on. The rest of this is just purely our feathering. We can change that as we want. And I'm going to tone that down. Now, obviously, that's doing the wrong thing right now. We're making his face darker. So I'm going to hit invert. And then it's reversed that mask for me. And that's just toned that chest down a little bit and just brought that drama in. And I like that. I think that looks quite nice. Let's come off there. So if I come back, we've really created that drama. I'm loving it. I think that looks brilliant. Now, I often add colour into my black and whites. If you watch this channel, you know that. However, I think I'm not going to add my colour yet because I'm going to take this into Photoshop, do a little bit more in my contour, and I think I will take it into add the colour there. So join me on the next video and we'll have a look. We'll take that into Photoshop, and I hope this was helpful.